Water's sewer subcommittee to order, and we've got some updates on the proposed local law for regulating the sewer district in the future. And maybe I'll turn it over to Ray and see if he's ready to go on that.
Sure, yeah. I can provide an update on that, and then after that, we can get into the construction as well. So as Rob Fitzsimmons had sent out to all of the members, I had worked with Rob, put together a draft of the new local law, which provides for the sewer ordinance. And so the original ordinance, if you took a look at what was done back in, I believe it was in 1996, contained about 9 pages. The updated regulation follows follows Greenport's sewer ordinance for the most part, and it's a total of about 27 pages. I've also added into that ordinance some information, because the question has come up as we've been moving forward with this project as far as how potential out-of-district users could tie in, as far as what information they need to supply to the county for the county to make a decision. And it also identifies that the decision making has to be done by the county as far as each one of those applications, as well as the town of Greenport. So that's very clear. In addition to the materials that need to be submitted, that provides for a request for the flow. So that's the anticipated amount of wastewater per day that's going to be generated and placed into the system, but also the type of construction or use, I should say, whether there's any pretreatment that would be required based on concentrations of the waste, and information such as that. So it would be a small report that would have to be submitted. Once that's submitted to the county, then the county could undertake escrow. So that way the developer or the project sponsor would provide for escrow, and then that way a feasibility report could be generated to see about the ability of having them tie in and for the sewer service, for the sewer district to provide sewer service to that property entity. So that's outlined in general within the ordinance. So that was an add-on that wasn't located within the town of Greenport's ordinance, but I did add that in to this particular ordinance. In addition to that, one additional item that was added had to do with the potential for contributions as well. So again, understanding that the district itself is undertaking a debt for the improvements associated with this conveyance system. If a developer wishes to tie into this system, the county can ask that developer or property owner to make a contribution to the county, a monetary contribution. And again, generally speaking, that's usually not outlined as far as the specifics within the ordinance, but usually that's handled in the feasibility study itself. So again, in its simplest terms, it could be considered based on the percentage of wastewater that they're going to be generating and placing into the system compared to the overall design of the system. Let's just use simple numbers. If it were 10,000 gallons that they'd be putting in and we've designed the system for 75, again, it would be a percentage of the overall cost to the county that the county could request of the developer as a one-time contribution. And that's in addition to whatever their user fees would be. Okay. So again, it's provided in there so that way it provides the county, it's written within the law, it provides the county the ability to request that contribution. So it doesn't come as a surprise to the developer. All right. So at this point, I'd turn it over to Rob as far as next steps. Obviously, we'd like to have the committee take a look at that. I think we'll also send it over to the commissioners of the district for their input as well. But Rob, maybe you want to kind of discuss anything in addition to what I've mentioned, but then also procedure as well.
Sure. Can you hear me, guys, ladies? Okay. Yeah, so the local law has been distributed to you. As Ray said, Greenport is going to be the receiver of our wastewater, so we have to match their regulations. We wouldn't want an instance where we have someone creating wastewater that is not within Greenport's limits. So we use Greenport as the baseline. Ray mentioned his additions. As far as future connections, as you know, we have a district and there's in district and out of district. If someone tries to connect from out of district, be it a single family home, maybe we treat them as an out of district user. If it were to be a large developer that wanted to put a significant flow in, then maybe we would treat that as a expansion to the district with an additional map plan and report. So unfortunately, I know we've had a lot of interest. Anybody who wants to try to connect in the future is going to have to be a case by case based upon their application materials, as Ray said, or the report that they generate. What we'd like you to do as a committee is take a look at it. If anything stands out to you as concerning or think you need changes to it, let us know. The process will be is we'll also circulate it to the Board of Commissioners for the Commerce Park and let them comment on it. I already sent it on to Rob Perry, who's the chairman of that board, for him to take a look at. And once we get conceptual agreement that the provisions are what they need to be, then we would schedule a public hearing for the County Board of Supervisors to adopt the local law to replace the prior law from 1996 with this version.
I see Rob Perry just joined us. Does Rob have time to look at this yet or have any comments on this particular proposal?
No, I just looked at it briefly, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine, but I'll peruse.
Okay.
Thank you.
DJ, any question?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I appreciate Rob you incorporating in there the ability to put a tax lien on their property for unpaid bills, because that was missing out of the last one. So I appreciate that.
Hey, Rob,
Yep, Ron.
do we have to come up with a rate for out of district for this or no?
Yes, we will. I'm not sure if we have any out of district users now, to be honest with you. We'd have to look.
Yeah. I don't even know what the in-district rate is until we finalize it with EFC.
Well, I was going to ask, maybe not to jump too far ahead, Ron, but I was going to ask you as far as, I know you're in the midst or getting ready for budget time, correct? So I was going to ask you, is there anything that you need from our office preliminarily for the upcoming budget?
No. I mean, we pretty much know. Well, it's funny because EFC, I was looking at the last drawdown. They still got us at like the $9.2 million figure. Okay. They haven't revised that down.
Right.
Yeah, they won't until you close and convert to long-term financing, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So until we get a final amount of what we drew down on the bond and what, we were paid back for all engineer fees, less what DEC gave us, I don't know how to play it right yet. I don't know.
Right.
I don't have the numbers yet. I don't have the number. I don't know what our principal payments are going to be until EFC finalizes all that. I don't know if they can do that by the end of the year. I can guess. Be pretty close, but I won't have final numbers.
Right. Okay. All right.
Hey, Ray, not to get too far ahead, I don't want to jump in if you've got it planned. We talked about asking for a change order to change that pump station out, which would add to that?
Yeah, we haven't formally done that. Again, we've been in communication with them on multiple occasions. I was just waiting for information from Smith and Lovelace
Okay.
as far as the pump itself. We had sent information over to them to go ahead and get an estimate for that portion of the work. So I hope to get that wrapped up before the end of the week and get it formally submitted to EFC.
Okay.
Yep. So if there are no other questions, at least at this point, regarding the sewer ordinance, then I can give everyone an update as far as the construction, which continues to move along. So all of the piping and manholes, with the exception of one cleanout manhole, have been installed. So again, the majority of the construction work itself, as far as the linear portion, has been completed by the contractor. There's one manhole on leg number 2, and so leg number 2 is the portion of force main and collection system that goes from the wastewater plant up to Gaybauer Road. So there's one additional manhole that is to be installed there as a clean out, and it's anticipated that that'll be done this week. Once that section or once that area is done, then all of the force main, or excuse me, that section of force main would then be pressure tested. So again, just so everybody understands, contractor's been moving forward. He's been constructing the collection system as well as the conveyance system with this force main, and periodically he's been completing the work. And then we've been having him pressure test those to make sure that it's tight. So we're not going to get any groundwater infiltration into the manholes or into the sanitary system as well. So all of the sections of piping, with the exception of leg number 2, because they still have to add that one manhole, all of the sections with the exception of that leg have been pressure tested. All of those have passed. The gravity main system as well, those sections have all been low air pressure tested, and those have passed as well. The manholes throughout the system are in the process of being tested today, and they hope to be wrapping those up tomorrow. So far, we haven't run into any issues with any of the manholes. They've been going well today. In addition to that, in addition to the manholes, they're the actual pump stations themselves, and we do exfiltration tests for those where we're filling them up all the way up to the top with water and seeing if any of that is leaking out. And so all of the pump stations, with the exception of leg number 8 is the last pump station by Dutch Village. All of those have been completed and they've all passed. So from a testing standpoint, we have leg number 2 that needs to be done. We have the manhole for leg number 2 that needs to be done. And then we also have the pump station for leg number 8 that still needs to be tested. But again, we hope to wrap those up end of this week, and then pump station and leg number 8 will probably be done next week. Also, the contractor continues with restoration. If you've driven up Route 66, you can see that he's got a good cover of grass along the majority of that work. But he continues to get that done. Gaybauer Road, they did an open cut across that area. They placed in temporary patch this past week, and this week they went ahead and did the restoration along that road as well. And we advised the highway superintendent that was taking place, and he didn't have any issues with it. There was quite a bit of rock that that was dealt with during the drilling operation and open cutting. As these last sections, I believe I mentioned that to the committee last month. So we're just totalizing up all of the rock numbers at this point, which would be coming out of the allowance section of the contract, because we did have a unit price within the contract for the contractor to abide to. That was as part of his bid. All right. Also, as far as additional work, there was some minor work that we had to do for station number, or excuse me, leg number 7 and pump station number 8. So leg number 7, that's the section of line that goes from Rod and Gun Club Road down to the crossing where it crosses underneath Route 66 and heads to the pump station at Dutch Village. There's a long section all continuously downhill. With the heavy rains and elevated water table and different things of that nature lately, what was happening was a portion of that trench line basically was acting as a French drain, if you would, collecting water and collecting down at that crossing point. And we have a manhole, and we were running into some issues at that manhole. What we had the contractor do was basically provide a pipe into the pipe bedding that would drain to daylight, and basically that would relieve any pressure in that area as well. And so that seemed to be working quite well, and it's just relieving groundwater pressure. So there's a small pipe that's been added into the contract that relieves that that trench water. He didn't have any issues during the construction period. It just happened to be during these more recent heavy rainstorms that we've been having that it became an issue. From an electrical contractor standpoint, control panels, transfer switch, and generators for all the stations, with the exception of station number 6, have been installed. He's currently working on station number 6 this week. He's also working on the wiring for those items. New York State DOT has provided the permits, so we're in good shape there. And we're continuing just to work with the property owners and National Grid as far as getting the final easements, so that way National Grid can place their pole within our easement on those properties. So we hope to get that resolved in the next few weeks as far as that's concerned. Other than that, that seems to be an update for the actual construction itself. If all goes well, I did receive an email from Jamie Malcolm from New York State DEC. He was wondering how things were progressing with the overall schedule, when we anticipated to have the new system up and running and decommissioning of the existing wastewater plant. I did indicate to him that we are currently on schedule, provided we, no issues as far as the easements, and National Grid is able to go in there and provide the services in a timely manner, that we still anticipate to have the new system up and running by the end of this year, 2021. And then the sewer plant decommissioning would take place during the spring, at the latest, during the spring of 2022. So we're in good shape there.
Amy's meeting with me next Tuesday morning, so you might get a surprise visit.
And you know what? I asked him. He's actually been out. He went and did Greenport's inspection. So he was out. He did Greenport's inspection about a week and a half ago, and he let me know that he was coming to that one. He also went out and did Philmont's roughly the same time, and I actually invited him to come out to the Commerce Park, and he said no, he's fine. He drove along 66, saw that they were moving along, and so he actually didn't stop by. Not to say that he won't, but I did invite him, and he
I wish he'd just drive by my plant and not stop by.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we've been having discussions with him, and as a matter of fact, one of the items they are going to require, even though it's going to take place for just a short period of time, the renewal for the existing sand filter at the airport. That permit needs to be renewed with DEC. They have requested that we renew that permit, even though it's only going to be active for a few months. So, Brian, I'll get together with you as far as any signatures that are needed or anything like that, so we can get that processed. He actually sent that over to me just yesterday. Okay. Ron, did you have a question?
No, is that Ron Caponera or me?
I'm sorry, Ron Caponera. Sorry, I thought I saw a hand go up.
Yeah, I'm gonna present real quick where we are fiscally with this.
That's par for the course. They made me register 2 underground tanks that were in city streets that we had already removed before they would remove the consent order that we had.
Right. It's all about revenue for them.
They love paperwork, don't they?
Everybody see that?
Yes.
All right, so real quick, we're up to draw number 8 with EFC. We just sent that in last week. They haven't paid it. What that puts us at payment of 83.5% for the contractor. Retainage is 184 out of the 220. So we're on target with Keller. This is the only invoice we got from the electrician CDE. We submitted that, and that was submitted with number 7 and subsequently paid. Ray, they still haven't paid us the $78,000 yet,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
and they withheld another $9,400 on another CPL invoice. I don't know what for.
So that was draw number 1 and draw number 4. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they're holding $88,000 of the CPL invoices on it.
Okay.
So out of the 813,000 that should come to the county, we only got 725. Not to say it's not a lot for it. All right. So the entire draw so far is 4.2 million. Okay. Project total is 4.4, and as I told you, I gotta show you this. Hold on a minute.
Whose contract have the generators? If the electrical contractor's only 13,000.
Yeah, he hasn't put an invoice in for those yet.
Okay,
All right,
must be
well,
nice.
Maybe you forgot him.
no, no, come on, Dad.
There's 3 generators, right?
One at each pump station. Yeah. So we've got, we have 3 of those.
You see, Ray, they still got the project 9.2 million.
You're right.
All right, so they're gonna have to finalize that down. That's what I'm saying. They gotta finalize that down to what the contractors, the whole project actually costs, before we get some final numbers on them.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. They still haven't adjusted to what the actual, contracted total is.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so that's where we are with the financing. Drawdown for that.
I'll reach out to EFC because I had received an email from EFC indicating that everything, all the paperwork was in place for that 78,000 that they were holding up. But I'll follow up with respect to both the 78,000 and the 9,400. So
Yeah.
I'll send an email out to them tomorrow to find out what the status of that is. I don't know. I'll just have to double check with them whether the county would have to put in a separate request for those or not. So I'll figure out and find out from them.
Why? They got the invoices.
We're
You
understood.
don't have
Yeah.
an MWBE requirement, do you?
No, we had actually gotten a waiver from that,
Oh, okay.
and that was what was holding up
Up
the
originally,
amount. But
What?
I did receive the approval from them indicating that they were satisfied with our work plan. But that was one of the hangups with the 78,000.
Ray, the generators couldn't have been built somewhere else, could they?
No. They again, the electrical contractor, because Ron actually had reached out to me at the end of last month, if I remember correctly, saying that he only received the one invoice from the electrical contractor and he hadn't seen anything more recently. And so I think it's just contractor being slow on his request for payments. Today being we're on the 21st of the month, so obviously I would expect before the end of this month that we'd receive an updated invoice request from payment application from the electrical contractor.
Mhm.
And I'm sure the generators, now that they're installed, I'm sure the generators will be part of that.
Right.
Any questions regarding that portion?
So yeah, back to the National Grid. What's your time frame on National Grid? Do you think? I know you talked about they still working on some easements for poles, but
Yeah,
are they ready to go if we get that, or?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, once we get the easements, National Grid says that they are ready to go. They've had it into their calendar, so they've indicated once they get the easements that they see no issues about getting in there and getting them completed.
Okay.
So
Yeah, if you can get it out of planning and assigned to a local crew, then it moves quickly. It's just getting it out of planning just takes
Correct.
forever.
absolutely, yeah. And that brings up a good point. So I had forwarded an email out regarding a fee that was required. Do you know, was that fee processed to National Grid?
Well, it's a tariff adjustment, right? Because you're adding new utilities. So usually I've never paid anything up front.
Yeah, they called it a one-time contribution that was required.
But that's the invoice you sent me. That was an estimate, not an invoice.
Right.
But that is the invoice that has to be paid.
Even though it says an estimate.
Yeah, even though it does say that it's an estimate, if you read at the bottom, it says, please provide, a check, and it tells you who to send the check to and so forth.
All right,
And the reason
I got it somewhere here.
Okay.
Was
But
about
understood.
15 grand.
Yeah, understood. They try to keep the door open in case I've run into that before, where in case it's an underground service line that has to be installed, in case they run into rock and their additional cost, then that estimate goes up.
Plus, they charge a sales tax.
Correct.
I don't know. I got to dig it up.
Okay. Let me know if you need an extra copy. I can forward it over to you. It wasn't much. I thought it was.
Oh, it's only a couple $100.
Yeah, I thought it was like $400 or something to that
I
effect.
saw it.
Not all.
But yeah, they could be waiting on that to schedule. So
Yeah, and again, as long as we get that taken care of, that way the only thing we're waiting for is the easements and there's no holdup. So, all right.
There it is.
You wouldn't
Yep.
consider running them under generator power until if there was some kind of crazy delay.
I would try not to. I mean, again,
Yeah.
and so far, National Grid really has been good. Even with their planning department had moved forward pretty quickly on this, I think.
Okay.
So,
I didn't think so, but I didn't know what kind of time frame Jamie was. Sometimes you never know which one you get, which Jamie Malcolm you're going to get.
yeah, understood. So far we've identified end of year, so end of December 2021, and right now we're still slated to get that. And again, the fact that everything's been installed as far as panels, generators, that on-site wiring, it shouldn't take too long to get it completed. So I think we're in good shape as far as the overall schedule. All right.
$374.
Okay.
I'll pay that Thursday. We'll pay it Thursday.
All right. Excellent. If you would just send me a copy of that when it goes out, so at least that way I can let them know that it's coming. At least the people that we're dealing with in planning. The only other item for me then would be, if there are no other questions as far as construction, would be we actually had a conference call with Ghent Rehab. So that was myself, Supervisor Eldridge, Rob Fitzsimmons, the owner of Ghent Rehab, and their local engineer that's working on the project. And this is regarding the Ghent Rehab facility as well as the assisted living facility, providing for a method to mitigate the disposal of rags or to deal with grinding them up or providing some sort of a trash rack or something of that nature. So the meeting was, I think, beneficial. They had provided a bit of pushback. If you may recall, I believe I mentioned Ghent Rehab wanted to install, or their engineer wanted to install, a single unit located within the collection system of Columbia County, right in the county roadway that that provides access to their facility. I had a phone call and discussion with Jamie Malcolm probably about a year and a half ago when this first came up, regarding concern that I had as far as if there was a backup. Even though Ghent Rehab had indicated that they were willing to handle the operation and maintenance, they understood that they would be required to maintain it in case there was a blockage. The concern I had, based on other dealings that I had with DEC on backups in another local municipality, that if the backup occurred within the county's collection system, regardless of Ghent Rehab and this particular device, if there was a discharge, who the order on consent and who the violation would go to. And DEC had indicated, since it's a county-owned facility, as far as the collection system, regardless of whatever agreement the county may have with a property owner, the violation would go to the county, and the county would be responsible for paying for that violation as well as dealing with the remediation of it. So based on that discussion, I have been pushing Ghent Rehab and their engineer to deal with 2 facilities and making sure that it's located on private property outside of the county collection system. That's been the pushback that we've been getting. We have identified that the majority of the large waste and the larger issues have been coming from the Ghent Rehabilitation Facility. So we identified that I would be at least willing to entertain 2 different types of mechanisms or mitigation. Maybe a higher level at the Ghent Rehab with perhaps more of a trash rack located at the other facility. That would mean less capital cost for them as far as the overall installation. They identified yesterday that they would be getting together, that is to say the owner and their engineer would be sending back a proposal to me mid next week to late next week. So we should get an update at that point. When I get that, we'll review it. We'll provide recommendation, and we'll keep the county informed as far as that process as well. All right.
Sounds good. We're moving ahead, maybe.
We hope.
Yeah.
The owner had at least indicated that if it was a single unit, the way it was originally designed, he was willing to cut a $70,000. That's the proposal that they had received. He said that he would be willing to go ahead and cut that $70,000 check tomorrow to get that done. And I said, well, we appreciate that. But again, our concern is the long-term effect and long-term responsibility and the potential of violations against the county with the DEC, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want to be responsible for that. That unit, number one, but again, long-term effects that it may have on the collection system. So again,
My
that's
concern
why
would be we don't know who the owner of that place is going to be in 10 years from now. So
exactly. And again, quite honestly, as we've identified before, we've been, and again, not that the Ghent Rehab in this case or their previous owners have said absolutely not, but we've been chasing this issue for the past 2 years. So if there's a violation, the county has to put money out. I would anticipate that we're going to have to chase, try to deal with legal recourse, and it's going to take a time for that to take place. And if we've been chasing after them for 2 years on this issue, who's to say we're not going to be dealing with a similar situation in the future if it was located in the county's right of way and within that line. So again, that's one of the other reasons of wanting it on their property. They're solely responsible. It's on their service line. So if there is a backup because of poor operation and maintenance on their end, the only people that it affects are them, no other property owner.
I see Kathy has her hand up, but before we get into that too much, if there's too much more of this discussion we want to have, Kathy, with this, should we do this in executive session or?
What do you think, Ray?
I don't know what you got to say, so I don't know.
Oh, it's. Don't be scared.
Ray was talking legal things, so I didn't know if you were going to follow up. But.
Well, yeah, pretty much it was, who's going to own it in 10 years is an issue. And having been in both facilities, and they do understand that the majority of the waste comes from the rehab, and having worked in the assisted living, that I do understand that it's a lesser amount that comes from the assisted living, but understanding that as healthcare changes, that might not be that facility in 10 years or 5 years. So you would want to be proactive and have what would be needed in place. Say it became another rehab center, so that's kind of where my thought process was yesterday with the two pumps, talking that the two are needed.
Right.
So, gotta have something. There has to be something.
All right, well, we'll wait for their engineer to propose something to Ray and he'll review it and let us know, right?
Yeah. And Rob Fitzsimmons was very eloquent in coming in, at the end and, stating the case, the county's case.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. And they gave us, I think within the next 2 weeks, their engineer's going to report back to Ray. Because I did tell him, we've been talking about this for months and I didn't want to come back and report to the supervisors the same thing again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So we pretty much demanded some progress, so we should see it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had a problem with a mechanical system or a refrigerator, they'd have to fix it. I don't get it.
Right.
Did we need to go into executive session? I have nothing more to say, I think.
Okay, no, that was fine. I just didn't know where you were going and if you wanted to have a more in-depth conversation about it.
No, thank you. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Ray on construction or we'll wait to hear from Rob Perry and the commissioners on their take on the local law and we can then schedule a hearing. Rob, do we need to do we need to motion to move that ahead? If, I don't know how quick you want to try and have that local law public hearing?
Well, the sewer sub meets every other month, right? Not every month?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd hate to go out 2 months because then we're running into our completion of the system. I
We've,
mean, I know
we've
you and
been
I talked.
we've been meeting every month
Every
Yeah,
lately.
we've been meeting every month. Yeah.
All right, well, we can put it on for next month. We would, if there aren't any changes or substantial revisions, then we would motion it for public hearing next month. I'm okay with that.
yeah, I encourage everybody to try and take a look at it. I know it's not interesting reading. I tried to read through it last night, fell asleep, but but it is something we've talked about for a long time, and it is going to be. But I know that a lot of it is boilerplate stuff and has to mirror Greenport, you know. But it is an important step to get done. All right, is there anything else to come before the sewer subcommittee? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Take a
I'll
motion.
second.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, folks, see you at 5 o'clock for the public works, those of us who are joining.
Take care, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Tonight. Tony, you want to take it away with highway?
Yep, absolutely. We've completed our hot mix patching of the roads for the year. That crew has moved on to blacktop ditches and kind of following behind the roads that we've been blacktopping. So still mowing county roadways, landfill and airport. Bridge maintenance on some minor bridge repairs, taking care of some yellow flags. Roadside sign maintenance, equipment maintenance. We completed 4.8 miles of paving on counties Route 8 and 8A in the town of Ancrum, Winchell Mountain area. Completed paving of blacktop ditches on county routes 31 and 14 in the town of Greenport. We continue our drainage work on county routes 9 and 61 in Getting Chatham. That should be wrapped up by the end of this week, if not early next week. Hot in place recycling was supposed to start on Monday. They've had some weather delays. So as of right now, they're looking to move into Livingston to do County Route 10 beginning on, they're moving in on Wednesday, scheduled to start on Thursday, but the weather looks like that's not going to cooperate. So they should be starting on Friday. That looks to be about a 5 to 6 day job. Then they're going to be moving to State Route 82 for the state. And when they're completed with that, they're going to move up to County Routes 9 and 61 up in Ghent and Chatham and Austerlitz. Shoulder mill and fill scheduled to begin this week. Right now, it's looking like Colorusos will be in on Thursday. Again, weather's not looking promising for that, but if nothing else, it'll be starting on Friday. That's for our shoulder reconstruction on 9 and 61 up in Ghent and Chatham and Austerlitz. That's work that's got to be done ahead of the hot in place recycling. So as of right now, knock on wood, the schedules seem to be working out with the two contractors, and it's all up to Mother Nature at this point. Personnel, which hasn't been too cooperative this year. Personnel update, one motor equipment operator is still on extended medical leave. One motor equipment operator is out on workers' comp. We hired one additional motor equipment operator. However, I just had one put in a notice today, so that's kind of canceled each other out. And we still have not received any applications for the open mechanics position, and we've received no additional applications for any of the MEO spots. So I'm not sure what to do about the mechanics position. Those guys are really, really backed up in the shop as it is now, between waiting on parts and the amount of trucks that are down. So
Is that a
not quite
diesel
sure.
tech you're looking for, Anthony? Tony?
Yeah, the highway equipment maintenance mechanic, they're the ones that work on the heavy equipment. So, like I said, I haven't even gotten any interest in it, which is kind of odd. I thought we had a few people that were interested when they heard that it might be opening up, but I have yet to get any applications.
So Tony, can I ask, where are we advertising for that?
Well, it was on the county website. It was on a couple different Facebook pages when it first came out, which I think was back in May or June. I know it was on like the Hudson Community Board. Dennis Heater had actually posted it on his Facebook page.
Yeah.
And a couple others.
So, working with Michael as we advertised for a commissioner, she worked through some program that kind of jazzed up the application a little bit, and we put it on LinkedIn and a few things just to try and get it out there. Maybe you want to reach out to her and see. She had a new program that just it took the bland part out of the application and just made it look juicier. But I don't know if it'll help or not. But
Okay.
Is that
yeah,
the
I'll reach out.
tiered salary too? Is that tiered salary?
Yes, it is.
Well, we got to
Yeah.
do something about that too, because that's what makes it tough. You know,
Yeah.
Ron?
and I think we are in negotiations. I won't go into the details, but I know it's being talked about. So.
Yeah.
I have no new business and no resolution request for highway.
Well, that's easy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I got.
That's all you
I
got.
do have
Anybody?
I do have the engineering one. I assume you're gonna do that a little later.
I just
Nope, you're on right now, actually,
just got it
Tony.
pulled
with
up,
that.
so go ahead. That's good.
Okay. Again, I'm not sure if any of this is new in here. This month I didn't actually get a chance to look through it. I know the county Route 25A road repair construction contract has been executed by Ed Calaruso and Son. It's with the county attorney for county execution. Construction is anticipated to begin in late September, pending right-of-way agreement resolution. That sound right to you, Ron? We're about at that point?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of this looks like a lot of the stuff that I read last month. Do you want me to go through all of it? Or do you want me to go to the resolution
We
request?
can really go to the resolution, and I can speak to that a little bit. So we did a resolution back in February of 21 to hire an auditor to do the closeout audit for this particular project. And tracing it down with Barb, that resolution got approved by our committee, but it never went to finance. I think that's when Dean got sick, and it just got dropped. So we talked to the accounting firm that will do the closeout. There's quite a bit of money at stake for the final payment of this, and we need to get this consultant thing done. So we figured we had time. We did reach out to the consultant, and we do have time to run it through, board this month. But I brought it back to this committee, even though we did technically approve this in February, but then it never went on to finance and full board. So we have a resolution tonight requesting the chairman to execute a professional agreement with Columbia
I'll
County.
move it.
Okay. A motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
it's the only resolution we had for engineering, wasn't it, Tony?
Yes, that's the only one I have. Yep.
Okay. All right. Any questions for engineering? Okay. Now we'll move on. And we got Brian up next.
Good evening. I'll do a quick run through. We moved the Board of Elections EMS room. That's where they create the election soft, to load onto the machines. down to the first floor, in anticipation for the office on the second floor to be used as a call center slash and eventually a new office. So that's all been done. Courthouse. This seems to be the job that just can never end. Technically, we basically we're pretty much wrapped up, but we finally got the colors, the countertop, and still everything's done except for the carpet. I just found out there's a miscommunication. The carpet's probably going to be a month out now. They had a production issue, so I had to inform all the judges over there, so they seem to be fine. I'm going to meet with Dave from the state, and we'll go over it. But that's pretty much, the main jobs we've been doing during the course of the month. I have a quick airport update. You should have it on there. The north apron and the fence and the nav aids. All the construction is done. We're just waiting on the final approval from the FAA for grant closeout. The fuel farm. All the contracts signed. Now the equipment or the tanks can be ordered. The estimated time for the tanks is 4 to 6 months out. So that job might get pushed out to next year. It's still up in the air depending on how quick the equipment can get in. The runway 3 and in the taxiway rehab, that's in the design phase. Typically, they were 90% federal, 5 state, and 5 county. This one here, because of the Rescue Act, the FAA, it's going to be 100%. So we're not going to owe anything on this project. That should start hopefully next year also. Future projects. We're working on the terminal building improvement grant that's already been submitted, just we have not received or have any word from the state whether or not this is going to be awarded next year or the following. The 5-year ACIP, which is the Airport Capital Improvement Program, was submitted and for funding consideration. Now, I think you have that attachment also. That can be updated from time to time, so it's not. None of those projects are set in stone for the future. So we can always change that if we feel that something else needs to come first. The EVTOL, that's the aircraft charging station. That's in the contract agreement phase right now, so we're waiting for an agreement there. Let's see here. Yeah, there was rumors about a huge grant from the federal government, according to Senator Schumer, but they have not received any word on that and how what the eligibility and so that's in case everyone's heard that there's no rumors or anything going around on their end. They have no idea how it's going to be awarded and spent. So until we find anything out, I just don't think we can count on that money. That's pretty much it for the airport. Is there any questions?
Brian, you still got a resolution for facilities, right?
Yes.
We veered off a little, that's all.
Okay. All right. So the resolution we're asking for, due to the resignation, we're requesting to fill one maintenance worker position, grade 11C, and any vacancies that may be created due to internal promotion. The reason for the request to continue and maintain the operational needs of county properties with added buildings to maintain, the additional procedures due to COVID and already being short an employee, this position needs to be filled. So I'm just requesting you guys authorize to fill that position. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Anything else for Brian? If not, we'll move on to solid waste.
Okay, so projects that we're working on, we met with B&L to discuss the implementation of the solid waste master plan. I've included there a schedule that we're looking at right now. We're trying to get all the preliminary data that they need to start the process. And if all goes well, we hope to submit the final plan to DEC by February of 2022. The top load building, we have a meeting scheduled Thursday to meet with the contractor to discuss timelines. According to him, the vendors are out approximately 6 to 8 weeks for material, and that'll give us enough time to figure out our traffic flow up here and whatever else impacts that we're going to be dealing with. Recycling in the county buildings, we rolled that out thanks to facilities, Brian's staff. We are working in connection with the Climate Smart Committee that requested that we once again start that program back up. So all the containers are out and the educational material is out there. The garbage bag sticker program, we've revised it. Today, Wendy and Derek went out to the stations. We shall, by Saturday, all stations should be stocked with the new tags. We're working out right now with the clerks. The clerks are going to be selling the bags until they run out of whatever sizes we have, and then we'll switch them over to the tag program also. And resolution request, I have 2 before the committee. One is permission to fill 1 part-time laborer position, grade 11, due to resignation.
I'll move it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and the second one is permission to fill a MEO2 at a starting salary of $39,954, and that's also due to resignation.
Move it. Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's all I have unless you have questions.
No, thank you.
Okay.
No more
Brian,
questions for Jolene? Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Brian, did you have another one you needed, a resolution there that you needed to get approved? That one with the airport?
The one with the airport, that was already approved last month, I believe. The EV2, the electric charging
No,
station.
no. The one that with the at the end of the runway, what they decided they approved it 100%. Did we need to do anything?
No, not. I think that one either was last month or it's coming up. That's the only one.
Oh,
That,
okay. Just was on the screen, and I wasn't sure if that was up or not.
yeah, I have to look into that. I
Yeah,
don't
no
believe
big
so.
deal. I just
Yep.
wanted to make sure you were covered. That's all.
All right.
I think this was the one, wasn't it?
No, that.
No,
Oh, yeah, no, this is.
no, yeah.
It was on our request form, but this just looks like an update on projects.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no, I don't have any other resolutions. in
Right.
mine.
Okay.
But you're right, Jimmy, that is on a request form. That's what I think you're reading, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it
why I
looks,
wasn't
okay, so
sure.
facilities does the reports on the request form, so it looks a little bit different, almost like a resolution.
No,
Yeah.
that,
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Who is 3-8 on the phone? Is that Kathy?
No.
Or is it Ryan Skoda?
Whose phone number ends in 38?
It's a mystery.
Don't know.
Loper, reveal thyself. Oh, was that my inner voice speaking? I'm sorry. I better mute myself.
I thought I heard Kathy's voice in the background at one point, so I'm not sure if it was her or not. I know she said she was gonna try to jump on. All right, I'll find out.
All right. Is there anything else to come before Public Works this evening?
Tony, that mechanic's position, does that require a CDLB?
Tony, that was a question
It's,
to you.
I believe the way it's written,
6 months
I
to
believe they
get
have,
it, I believe.
All right. But you have absolutely no one in the queue.
no, nope. For some reason, I'm not quite sure. why. Seems odd that we didn't even get any interest, you know?
It's been hard for everybody to find jobs, and I wanted to point to the committee too, but Jolene, correct me if I'm wrong, but the couple positions that you're replacing are due to people shifting jobs because of better salaries. Is that?
That is correct. Yep.
So I know that we're in labor negotiations with UPSU right now, but we should think about these things. But we're not the only industry that's trying to struggle to find people, find help, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's everybody.
Yep. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's all I got. I'll move it.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Go out and enjoy the evening.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Good night.
night.
Good night.